Today we're going to be looking into what is a portfolio backlog. So portfolio backlog is a Kanban system that used to capture and manage the business and enable epics intended to create and evolve the portfolio's product services and solution. Uh, the last video we just discussed about epics. If you want to understand a little bit more of what epics is, you can just revisit the last episode and we'll discuss. You can just familiarize yourself what is epics. So the portfolio backlog is a system. It's a system that you use to capture and manage business enabler epics. As you can see here, the portfolio backlog. This is like a placeholder where we manage epics. Even so, before the epics get shipped or introduced to agile release trends, or maybe these are development teams. We call them value creation team. So those epics, they have to be managed through a portfolio backlog. As we continue through the episode, we'll see how we get the features and also the capabilities and enablers when we decompose those two epics. As we discussed in the last episode, we have a business epics and also we have enabler epics. So enabler epics, when they decompose those ones, those enablers epics, we get capabilities. And those capabilities, those are ones that govern what the infrastructure is going to look like when you start developing those products in the future. So we do have a lane portfolio management team. So lane portfolio management team is responsible for developing and maintaining the prioritization of portfolio backlog. So this is the team that governs how those epics, when they reach the portfolio backlog, they help us facilitate and move those epics through the process of Kanban system, whereby they're being reviewed and maybe solutioned so that they can become a tangible a product or project that can be implemented depending on how the company or organization want to use those epics. So they actively collaborate with the stakeholders, including the business owners, many of whom are part of LPM, the product and solution managers, epic owners, enterprise architecture, to discover the epic needed to advance portfolio solution. As we just discussed, epic is a huge umbrella of solution, and for this solution to become a very conclusive product, it has to be some level of solutioning, and this solution has to be the mandate that's given. It has to have the mandate that's given to that team. The lane portfolio team take the responsibility to move those epics through the Kanban system and to be able to maybe solution them to become sensible, and which meaningful a solution or maybe a project where it can be given to agile release train to become a solution. So as you can see, as we just discussed, we just revisiting this. Portfolio epics are just large, cross-cutting, as we can just discuss. They can cross-cut the value streams and also PR. So they, as we just, it's just managed through the portfolio Kanban. This more effort and capacity required as epic travels from left to right of the Kanban. We will just discuss momentarily what is left to right. The lead portfolio team, decide which one will be proceed to each subsequent step or be removed from altogether. So for now, we'll just look into this slide here, and as we continue with the discussion, we'll just go into details. What does it mean, and each subsequent step or being removed altogether. So let's talk about building and refining portfolio backlog. As you can see here, lane portfolio management. This is a team, they apply the flow-based approach to build and refine backlog and show up portfolio epics are ready for implementation with an appropriate level of discovery and risk. So we just discussed that there has to be some level of risk analysis and also dependency management. and also there have to be level of discovery. Like as we continue doing like any project or any product development, there should be some level of we do a lot of design thinking, and also the same case applies to epics. There's some level of design thinking before even these epics become solutions. So that part of discussion is there has to be it has to go through a lean portfolio team, and whereby they review these epics to determine alignment with the portfolio strategic team and vision. That's will go through that as part of that review new epics to determine their alignment. So there's behind the scene, there's that design thinking and also preparation of those epics, and also this cross-functional discussion with the solution team, the product team, and also the leadership, so that once you get a strategic theme, like as we can discuss, we know that when we break down some of the strategic themes, we get those epics, strategic. This is the big umbrella of maybe technology that company want to implement, maybe an AI, or maybe company want to start using AI solutions. Those are going to be a strategic theme. And also maybe if a company want to have maybe AI and digitalization, or maybe infrastructure modernization, or maybe security governance around, or maybe data governance around some of these applications. So you evaluate the epic hypothesis system statement to decide whether it's warrant an assignment of epic. We can revisit the last episode. We all discussed what epic hypothesis statement is. This is just a placeholder that explains what this epic is. It has some different attributes that you go through. That it has to have epic owners, the name of epics, the business outcomes, the leading indicators, then NFRs, a whole lot of stuff we discussed in the last episode. You can just revisit this and you will just come to speed what we mean by epic hypothesis statement. And also prioritization the backlog using WestJeff and other factors of collaboration. So there's some level of cross-functional collaboration with business owners and enterprise architects, product management, and other stakeholders here. We might need some of project management, and we might need some external team that stakeholders that will help us implement some of this. So backlog activity often occur during portfolio sync and strategic. This is something occur maybe within at the middle of the year. We do portfolio syncs just to make sure that the company is aligned to its own strategic themes, and also it's still following it's still aligned to the mission and vision. So LPM and stakeholder add new backlog item to funnel, updating priorities and remove less promising epic. A well-maintained backlog is a prerequisite of successful portfolio management. So the portfolio management using especially working with the LPM, portfolio backlog and portfolio management is very critical activity when it comes to an organization, because it can just determine how successful your company will be, especially when launching products that can be successful, and especially a product that can scale to be a company. So this is a very critical process that a company will have to look into, and maybe establish a lean portfolio management team, so that when you get these epics, you'll be able to to fashion them in a way whereby we can come up with a future product. So as we just discussed previously, a flow-based approach is very critical, because this is how we understand, when we start building these epics, how do we understand that the value-based proposition is added to this. So in Agile framework, there's something we call the flow-based mechanism, which is, this is determine how the value is being added to any products, and how well are we be able to produce and also maybe send the product out there in the market. So we can start with the flow distribution, as we can just go through the notes. Is flow distribution measures how even work items are distributed across different stages of development. It helps identify bottlenecks, imbalances that hinders the flow of work. For example, if a significant number of tasks are consistently stuck in the testing phase, while others more quickly through the development, it suggests a flow distribution imbalance. By addressing such imbalances, team can offline. So if you see your team is lagging behind, the testing team is not, is the same level of performance with the development team, you can see some level of imbalances, and this will also depend on how your solution is going to be pushed to production. So you should be able to ensure there's a constant level of flow of the work between development team and also the testing team, so that you can be able to meet on-demand deployment. So there's another one we look into, is called flow velocity. So flow velocity is a measure of amount of work completed by a team within a specific time frame. Typically, a sprint in agile methodology is often expressed in story point or other units of work. So velocity provides insight into teams' productivity and help in focusing future work. So consistently tracking velocity allows teams to understand their capacity for work and make informed decisions about how work can commit in a upcoming iteration. So we can understand that, for example, if you have an epic, sometimes it's not that straightforward to come up with an idea of how we're gonna finish or when this epic is gonna complete. But looking at the velocity of the team, especially from previous history, you can be able to see how team has been able to maybe finish some work, and then using that flow velocity, you can be able to maybe determine the future work. If you have the same epic in the future, you can be able to know from the past velocity, this is how team has been able to work, and this is how we can be able to finish. So flow velocity is very important to measure how the team is well equipped to delivering value of specific item. And also we have time flow. Time metrics focus on duration takes for work item to move through development process. This includes lead time, so the time from when a work item is initiated until it's completed. So when a story goes to in the team backlog, or maybe when you start a sprint, so when that story move from the team, when the team working on that story, you'll be able to see how long does it stay on that, how long is the team able to finish that story within 2 weeks. And also we have a cycle time. It take from the work item to move from various stages of development. Like maybe for some time you have come up with a high level document, a low level document, and sometimes you need to have maybe come up with a data model. And so as a part of development team, and sometimes you need to come up with the environment setup. So those are part of development preparation aspects. So cycle time, you can be how long does a team take to be able to come up with some of those activities. So monitoring time metrics help team to identify areas where the delay occur and implement strategy to reduce them, thereby improving overall flow efficiency. So the time when a story get included in a specific sprint, and the preparation for that team, maybe setting of an environment, and also start developing that story, and pushing that story to testing environment, and team getting to test that in story and then move to production. That if there's a level of whereby there's a lot of bottleneck between those processes, using time flow, you can be able to just look into the process and be able to improve some of those processes. So we have a load flow. So load flow refers to the amount of work in progress at any given time within the development process. So high level work in progress can lead to congestion, inefficiency, and longer cycle time. By tracking work in progress limits and actively managing the amount of work progress, team can maintain a manageable workload, prevent bottlenecks, and ensure the smooth flow of work. So during the sprint planning, you should be able to make sure that the team take stories. You can able to maybe backlog grooming, so that we can come up with a story that is ready to be put in a sprint. And that should be small enough to be able to cover that process of 2 weeks. So we don't want to have some work in progress that taking too long. Maybe team is doing some research. You should be able to do this as a prerequisite of backlog refining, so that when that stories go to the into agile team, is able to be is able to the workload is able to go through 2 weeks development work and smooth. So we have another one called efficiency flow. So efficiency flow measures the percentage of time spent actively working on task versus the time it takes to complete the task. including waiting of idle time. High, low, high flow efficiency indicate that worked items are progressing smoothly through the development process without significant delays or interruption. So monitoring flow efficiency help team identify areas of improvement and implement measure to eliminate waste and increase productivity. So this is just handoff. Maybe sometime you'll find that the development team is just waiting for a testing team to start working on so that they can just start picking up something else. So efficiency works on, like, for example, you when a development is done, the testing team can continue testing that type of maybe a code or function to be able, so there's no more there's no handoff between two different teams, so just to ensure the efficiency is improved. And also we do have predictability. So predictability assess the team ability to consistently deliver work item within estimated time frame. So it involved comparing estimated duration with actual duration and analyzing variances. A high level of predictability indicate that team has good understanding of the capabilities and reliably focus delivering timeline. By improving predictability, teams can enhance stakeholder confidence, plan more effectively, and meet project deadline more consistently. So the flow-based mechanism can, it doesn't, we just discussed about the sprint, but this also can be improved in with through the epics. When the epics, go through the funnel to the point where it's going to be delivered, the flow of information or the flow of solutioning of that epic can move through Kanban system. You can also use the flow-based approach so that you can be able to make sure that those epics that go through the Kanban system, they are efficient. The load time is, the team is improving, or maybe the portfolio team is improving on when those the time those epics become features. Maybe that's for example, you have a PI, but at the beginning of the PI, those epics, they're not solution enough to become features. So during PI, you don't have features to start working on. So if you can use a flow-based mechanism approach to maybe manage some of the epics through Kanban system, it's also a method that you can prove in epics, or you can use in epics. So we look into managing the backlog with Kanban. So the portfolio Kanban system visualize and facilitate the flow of business epics and your epics. So portfolio epics are made visible, developed, managed through portfolio Kanban system, as we will see in the next slide. So before committing to implementation, epics require analysis and approval. So those epics, they have to go through level of discussion between different stakeholders, and they can be analyzed, and also they have to be approved. As we could just discuss in the list in the previous slide, the lean portfolio management team, they do a very critical role to be able to make sure that the epic that you have, they meet the guardrails, and also so that it can be able to be put in the algorithm team to be able to be broken down into features eventually for execution. So Epic owner takes responsibility for the essential collaboration needed for this task, while enterprise architect typically guide enablers epics that support the technical consideration on business epics. So as we discussed, we have two epics: business epics, enablers epics. So the epics owner will take the business and epics, and also the enterprise architecture most of the time, because these are the people that understand the organization enterprise solution, how the environment is designed. So they'll take those enablers so that they can extend our runways, so that when we push some of those solutions to maybe those environment that we have, become maybe dev, development, testing environment, we are not able to have those gaps and hiccups. The solution can best be deployed in a testing environment, and a team can start testing, or maybe you can deploy to development, and it will not be we will not see any hiccups, maybe application performance, or maybe security violations, or maybe deployment problems. So those guys will take those epics and solution them. So many companies struggle with innovation because they do not actively manage their portfolio with enough rigor or discipline. So allowing less critical effort to continue while starving ordering those with more potential. You can see like company will struggle if you don't have very well established system, actually managing the Kanban system. Through how those epic through each Kanban system. A company, company can be able to struggle because you're not able to look into some of the work that go through the epics and be able to come up with maybe a design sessions, and people don't understand what are the most priority and what are the business values and what are the risk and dependencies. If you cannot able to do and you just take epics and just push it to environment, to agile release train to be implemented, without doing those previous analysis, it can be a challenge because you not be able to understand if the epic that you have delivers value. So portfolio Kanban help align strategy execution by identifying, communicating, governing selection of the largest, most strategic initiative, epics for safe portfolio. We just discussed here, Kanban help align strategy and execution. So as a strategy, you make sure that the epics that you are undertaking, they align with company strategy, mission, and vision. And also execution, you have to you make sure that before those epics they're broken down in features, team really understand what is the business value and what are the priorities, and what are the risk and dependency. So using all that, for you to do all that, you need some portfolio Kanban system that can help you walk those epics through the system. So we just discussed that the Lean portfolio management team is responsible for Kanban portfolio, which often used during the strategic portfolio review and portfolio sync. And we just discussed the portfolio syncs. Maybe they happen twice a year, or maybe every single quarter, depending on how company wanna go back and see, especially when you look at the roadmap of this and the milestone that you have committed. Sometimes you have to go through those epics and look at how, if those epics are still aligned to the roadmap or maybe the milestone, depending on the execution. Because when you start working on features for those epics, you have to make sure that the priority and also the milestone that you define in a roadmap, you are all aligned, especially when it comes to maybe some of the critical features to be delivered. So while opportunistic epics are welcome, so LPM, uh, they have the fiduciary responsibility to facilitate the flow of best, aligned with for, vision and economics. So we discussed, you can just take an epic and just take it to the funnel, and also you take it to a portfolio Kanban, portfolio backlog to be executed. So there has to be some level of analysis that has to go through, and for those features or those epics to be able to be worked on by different team. You have to understand this is a lot of money that's going to be spending on that, and you can't just burning your money just delivering nothing. So this is the portfolio Kanban system. As you can see, the epics, it has to go through this, as you can just get from left to right. So you can still look into a funnel, reviewing, analyzing, ready, implementing, and done. So an epic has to go through these five these steps, this six step, before even it get to be picked or to be decomposed in the future. So at the final stage, this is just big idea. This is just strategic theme, and like maybe AI and digitalization. That's the strategic theme that maybe an enterprise has wanna just start introducing, or maybe infrastructure modernization, or maybe they want to improve on security on some of the infrastructure, or maybe security of the environment. So company can come up big ideas, and those ideas go in the funnel. So that we just discussed, these are new business opportunities, cost savings, marketplace changes, mergers and acquisition, problem with the existing solution. So maybe you want to move in the cloud and you have realized that you spend too much money on premise, especially provisioning those physical for servers, or maybe the existing solution, maybe one of these solution is, it's giving companies a lot of headaches when it comes to maintenance, and you want to break it down to maybe to put in, microservices or maybe container-based applications. Maybe that can be a theme. New business, you want to introduce new product out there in the market, so you have to create a theme that just will come up with an epic to um, produce new products. And then that epic has to be reviewed. This is where refined understanding of the epic. This is where we start coming in through some design thinking. You observe, you understand, and then you review the point of view. You have to review with the team. Do you understand the solution that we are trying, the problem that we are trying to save? Have you observed maybe some of the customers, the pain points? Do you have a point of references? Like sit down and just brainstorm some of those solutions. So for that process to happen, this is where we create epic hypothesis statement. So this help us, take the name of the epics, do and some, look into maybe some of the leading indicators, the business outcomes, and you come up with the NFRs, and also create some of those as we just realized this maybe elevator pitch. Those are the value statements. You go through the epic hypothesis, and then when you look into, you start giving those points through what's Jeff. Like for example, you can just do a theme, and you can just give that point a theme that, hey, this is very important because we wanna, maybe you think you have a problem with the existing solution, and maybe it's just customers are complaining too much from the customer support feedback. So that can be a high priority epics that has to be discussed. And then work in progress is limited. Here you have to make sure that you do a lot of homework here so that you can be able to understand that epics. So pull is pulled to the next level when epic owner is available. So those epic owners, they're part of LPM team, and when that epics go to reviewing stage, of course it has to be assigned to an epic owners, so that if a strategic theme or if a business think that is very critical for the business, maybe solution with the existing solution. You can just come up with the, hey, maybe you can introduce, you can just break in monolith system to um, microservices, or maybe container-based services, or maybe move that application to the cloud using Kubernetes services, or maybe the APIs. You wanna just refactor some of your APIs, so that you can use them. Maybe it's, for example, today you develop some API with SOAP protocols, and there's a lot of coupling, and interoperability is not that well in SOAP protocols, and then you want to just use RESTful API whereby you can just break down, or you can use the HTTP and HTTPS protocols whereby you can be able to decouple some of the services and be able to implement maybe a container-based solution. Big customers, you continue this. Some of the epics start gaining traction, and the priority changes. They become even high priority features. Here you can also define an MVP. Like for example, if you realize that maybe, especially when there's a lot of maybe um, you don't really understand so much about the epics. Maybe this can be the AI. You're trying to introduce the AI. Maybe what you can just decide, hey, let's first of all start with the MVP. And when we do MVP, and then we define the business outcome, when we approve those business outcome, and we can be able to push that epic to the next level. So we just concluded that this MVP will deliver the correct or the anticipated business outcome. And then you can create a lean business case. So the lean business case, this will just give you on high level what that epic's all about. Here you start getting the stakeholders, you start getting the value proposition of that, and then you start looking at the cost. You start looking on the NFRS. So this lean business case is going to be used by the lean portfolio management team to approve that epic. But then go or no go decision. So when you look into, you define the MVP on maybe the lean portfolio team realize that this is beyond maybe the guardrails, or maybe the strategic theme doesn't align with our mission and mission. That epic can be dropped. So pulled when an Epic owner has capacity. Of course, this has to be, Epic owner has to have capacity to start working on some of those analysis. And then the Epic goes to ready state, so this ready state, the Epic's already been approved by a portfolio and then sequenced by WestJF. So meaning that strategic theme has been given a lot of high, through previous discussion and through maybe design thinking processes, has been given some traction and a lot of attention has been, leadership attention. So that Epic, has a goal and then is ready to be moved to the next step. The MVP, here we're trying to prove the business outcome hypothesis. We can just creating a prototype and just come a minimal Epic through the team. So to be able to we come up with a solution whereby a team can just start seeing a feedback, and the feedback for that, MVP. So as we can be able to prove our business hypothesis. Like for example, if you decided that you're going to do some cost saving, and when you start working on this MVP, realize that Epic has a lot of dependency and the risk. And then you can be able to decide, do you need to pivot or maybe persevere? A decision has to be made. If you see the Epic has a lot of risk or maybe a lot of dependency, or maybe when you start working on it, you don't see the value of that from what feedback you just decide from that little MVP time. Or maybe you spend too much money on an MVP which that you do not anticipate. That MVP, that Epic can be shelved, and maybe you can just create a new Epic. Or maybe it can be, the team can just do away with that specific Epic. It becomes so expensive, which is if it doesn't bring the value which was anticipated or which was written down in the lean business case. So for you to do an MVP, there has to be, this has to be, there have to be a team, the agile release team with the capacity that has to be start working on them, and then you have to be a budget that's going to be assigned to that MVP. So when a team is available, each agile team is available to start working on this Epic, and then and the budget is there, so you can start working on that MVP. So persevere, Epic, this, you start here. We're just creating those features, and then because the team has already, like for example, maybe there's a um, existing solution, especially if you want to modernize your infrastructure. There has to be a lot of customer pain points from the customer support team. So some of those epics, you start working on them. You have to assign the agile release train or maybe solution team, and they start breaking down those epic to features. And those features, there has to be, during PI planning, you have to start planning on those ones, and also start writing stories so that you can start implementing those ones. So and maybe those features, most of the time they'll have high priorities, really, using WestJF. There's the other way we can use to prioritize some of the features which we will discuss in the next slide. So this is maybe I can just say here, these are high level epics which business has really decided that they need to move on, and what we have to do is just continue working on that. And then done, you have already realized the value of that pictures, of that epic. So this was already, it has been governed by the portfolio manager, because they have to assign the budget, and if the budget says otherwise, that epic has to be moved to done, or maybe the value proposition has to be reached, and that epic, moved to a done state. Few recaps. So finally, just to say, it is used to intake significant business and technology ideas. These are strategic themes. So these ideas may originate from the strategic concern. These are strategic themes. They can arise from an agile team. Maybe you need to improve your CI/CD pipeline, or maybe you need to refactor some of your application, or maybe some of the technical debt. Those epics can come from agile team, or maybe agile release stream. Because so agile release stream, you can have some maybe as you continue working on dependency, and you're still working on some of that team. You can come up with some of the dependency. You can start getting some new requirement, and those requirements can come, can be created as epics, which can be overlooked by the LPM team. And also customer pain point. pain points. You know, when you start looking at customer support feedback, you can just create some new themes depending on from your customer feedback, right? So these ideas aren't anticipated to be big enough. We just got these are just strategic themes, the big, which can exceed the threshold guardrails or perhaps have some other strategic or business model impact. So this business has to go through and look into those epics, and because you know these are big investments, someone has to look into what they all entail. Epics are initially described in epic hypothesis statement. We just discussed the epic hypothesis. This is just a placeholder whereby you have to explain what is all about that epic. What's the value proposition that we are adding, or what is the value the business is getting? You can just even what are the success criteria that we're gonna have from that epic. So you write epic hypothesis, and epic hypothesis also have some value statement or elevator pitch so that you know you can be able to sell your epic to the leadership and also the business. We say initial review of idea is not likely to exceed epic's threshold or portfolio concern. It move to so if if the epic is within a company threshold, you know it's gonna move to the next stage. So maintain the portfolio vision roadmap, identify new initiative that feed directly into portfolio Kanban. This initiative may include updates from the enterprise strategy or supporting other portfolios. The continuous exploration process discovers users and market needs may result identify epic. Yeah, so this is just you know an overview. How where can we get those epics? You know, market discoveries. You know, market needs, and also continuous exploration. As company, you know, you start building a product that be gonna be a future products. You know, as you continue exploring your products and the way you can improvement, you can come with some epics, and then those epics, you know, can be added to the portfolio backlog. So you know how you know we just discussed how epic flow into funnel. So you can just see these are portfolio vision and mission. So a company has a mission and visions, right? So these are you know, and then from a strategic theme perspective, you those epics might come through as a strategic theme, and those you know though they have in a portfolio roadmap. So portfolio roadmap, you know, this governs the milestone and the timing, especially for those high priority features. So you create portfolio roadmap and different milestone, and also you align your strategic theme with those portfolio vision, and then you can come up with an epic. So in epic, you know, this is the current state portfolio canvas. You know, here is the level of designing. We look up design thinking. You can observe and you can understand and you can have point of view, like you know you have to understand. This is the what we call analysis. That has that epic has to go through some analysis. So this is the what we do why statement. Why are we doing what we're doing? So we have different broad ideas here. People will suggest a solution, especially the solution alternative will come with different solution depending on specific epic, and then you can just walk through a design session brainstorming, and also maybe cons of it of the future using you know using different collaborations, you know, aspect. You can come, we can break down those strategies and ideas, and you can narrow down. This is a how statement. How are we going to design that? And when you narrow those ideas, you come up with that a future state of portfolio canvas. So this portfolio canvas, this is now a well streamlined epic, which has to go through a funnel, which it has to be discussed, and then in the future, maybe it can go to a portfolio canvas. The same case happens to a capability, maybe those enabler epics. It has to go through the same process, design thinking process, you know, coming up with a solution alternative, and then doing some brainstorming, and then narrowing down your ideas and bringing up with a new streamlined capability, so that those epics and enablers, you know, they go through the funnel, and this eventually they form into NFR and you know non-functional requirements maybe, and also maybe they can go through a portfolio Kanban. So these are the one of processes we can use to how an epics falls to a funnel. So reviewing, as we just discussed in a Kanban process. So just reviewing, we just this is where we refine understanding of an epic. We create the epic hypothesis statement, and there's a preliminary cost estimates and WestJet. So and here also we pull the when epic owner is available, we pull in. So suppose the epic do not appear sufficiently viable or aligned with the portfolio strategic theme or either guardrail. In that case, a move to done. We can discuss here. We refine and understand this epic. If it doesn't uh, add anything, when you look at the strategic theme of the company and that epic doesn't add, doesn't align, it can be dropped to a down state. Or maybe you can create an epic hypothesis statement, and you see those hypotheses doesn't add up, then those some of those epics can be dropped. So and so we just discussed, using the WestJeff estimate relative to other items in reviewing state is established based on preliminary sizing, cost, and estimate. Yeah, we do have lean portfolio or looking into a budget and also sizing of that epic. So doing some preliminary assignments, you can just do, you can refine some of those epics during reviewing. So this is the assignment has to be done by Lean Portfolio, especially the Epic owners, which is part of a Lean Portfolio team. There has to be some cross-level, cross-functional collaboration, so that when it has to be reviewed by different teams. So here you have to maybe a product team, the solution team also, and also an enterprise tech architecture. And also you have to include some leadership, reviewing the epic that we have, does it align with our strategic theme? So the next stage we have, maybe we can discuss, is analyzing. So analyzing, when an epic owner has the capacity and room within the work in progress limit, epic with high potential pulled into analyzing state. So this is where we do the heavy lifting, because there has to be some level of collaboration, and also we have some design session has to go through. So there's a bit cross-functional collaboration where we have to do with the business owners. These are the guys that deal with the customer pinpoint, especially the customer support team. You understand the frustration of the customer. So when you have those epics which has been created, when you understand the value, the customer frustration, you have to collaborate with the business owners so that they can be able to understand what is going on. And also an enterprise architect and system and solution. So when this product is being pushed to the enterprise environment, so you have to work with this team, this specific team, so that you understand your runways. So when you push this product to an environment, you don't have to have those hiccups, and there's going to be a smooth deployment of solution. And also the product and solution team, and also agile team, because these are the guys going to be working on this, so they have to have some level of understanding, and you have to do a good job as an epic owner to involve this team so that you can be able to understand what it's going to do in the future. So during the analysis, the following activity typically occurs. So your identification and review of solution alternative. Yeah. So as we just discussed, maybe this can be you're trying to have different solution. You can break down a monolith application to or use Kubernetes, or maybe monolith application, maybe use container-based application, or maybe change the API from SOAP to REST API, or maybe use some other framework that you use to maybe design some API, maybe Swagger. You've been using some other frameworks, but now you can use open open framework, maybe Swagger uh, tool for you to be designing maybe your API. Those are different solutions. Maybe you're trying to modernize your API, and you can come up with a different solution alternative on how you can start working on your API. So defining MVP, establishing a refined cost estimate for MVP and full anticipated scope. So you have to define MVP, and then MVP has to have the scope. MVP is just a minimum viable product. You have to have have to fail fast, and so you're gonna have the immediate feedback. So you have to know understand what's the concept of my MVP and what are the scope. You have to define if this epic has to go through MVP level, so you have to define that. And also, you have to create a lean business case. You do a small research spike to demonstrate its potential technical and business viability. Yeah, as we just discussed, this is a huge assignment. This is a huge, when it comes to company or organization. So you have to do some spike. This spike maybe have been done by the enterprise architect, so they can be able to understand the potential of technical and also the business viability. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are the business levels? So this has to be some level, some initial spike. So, and customer validation. When you start working on those MVP, you start getting those feedback, the quick feedback. So you can there, especially the MVP, you can have some initial customer validation when maybe you start dealing with that. We start sharing the MVP to maybe potential customers. You get those feedback, and then you can update the WestJeff relative to other epics. So when you start working on those MVP and you realize that the MVP depends on the risk, but they're very critical epics. So you can start adding West points, and just so that you can start working on those epic that has a high risks and a lot of dependency. So LPM uses lean business case during a portfolio sync for go or no go decision. Confirm the epic approved for implementation. WestJeff no go moved. Epic is done. So the lean portfolio management will use your business case. The business case, is just is in an object that it explain how the value proposition of that specific epic, if it doesn't meet, it doesn't align to with the strategic theme and also the guardrails. So that during the portfolio sync, that epic can be dropped depending on those two criteria. Ready as soon as space available. So these are ready to be implemented. So as we just discussed, it's not only that we use WestJeff to prioritize some of those epics. There's so other criteria that we use to prioritize some of those epics, and it can be used also to prioritize epics. So let's go through some of those ones. Other than WestJeff here, because this is the only thing that we have discussed. But I just wanted to walk you through some of the prioritizing method that we can use to maybe they use in the future prioritization during agile processes, but we still can use them during epic prioritization. So we have value-based prioritization. This method involves evaluating epics based on the potential values to the business or stakeholders. So epics that expected to deliver the highest value or contribute most significantly to the project objective are prioritized higher. So value can be assessed, using techniques such as the cost-based analysis, maybe direct cost, maybe indirect cost, maybe sunk cost. You can use some of those maybe direct costs, those costs that involves in the maybe moving, building those, especially the capex, the capital expansion, and also operational expenses. So if you can go, you can use though you can use this process to make sure that the value-based presentation. So if the cost is higher, you can be able to understand if do we need to how can we using that cost benefit analysis, how can you prioritize that so that we can get the value of that specific epic, and also the rate of return. How what are we receiving after every as the dollars we spend? What are we getting there? Maybe can we spend? Maybe it's, for example, you have a rate of return of 25%, or maybe 250%. So meaning that every dollar you spend, you get to $2.50. So that can be good rate of return. So that is a good rate of return, and that epic can go to the next level. Or maybe customer feedback. Customer feedback when you deploy a solution in production and you hear very good feedback from the customer, that or maybe you can work with the customer support team, the customer, their the frustration, that the value-based presentation can be higher if a customer comes. Have essential features a requirement that must be included in the product. These are the must included. These are the must features that we need to have in that epic. And then should have important feature that not critical for the initial release but should be considered soon. Could have. These are nice to have features in that specific epic, and I won't have. These are just things that we really don't need. they're low priorities. So we can use Moscow to prioritize some of those features. And then we can have Kano model. So Kano model, categorize features or requirement based on their impact on customer satisfaction. So epics evaluated according to three categories. So we have basic expectation. These are just basic features that we want customer are expected. So just a standard, they don't excite customers too much. So the performance features that directly correlate with the customer satisfaction and can differentiate the product from a competitor. So when you start looking at those strategic themes and you see some of those, especially digitalization and also the AI, if your company can be able to beat their competitors in the game and increase increase the sales of your products, those features, those epics can be, those are performance epic, and using a kind of model, those epic, should move should be some of the high priority to be implemented. And also excitement features, innovative or unexpected features that delight customer and exceed the expectation. So if you see, if you come up with a feature that excite customer using counter model, those are some of those epics should be on high priority. So WestJeff is a prioritizing technique that consider the cost of delay, the job size, and job duration. So we have the WestJeff is you have to incorporate the business value, because the business want to see the business value of their products. And also we have time criticality. So how sooner can we deliver, and what are the risk, and what are the job size? Team prioritize epic with the highest WestJeff score, indicating the most significant impact on the project. And also we do have story mapping. Story mapping is whereby, so this story mapping help you define dependency. You can look this feature on a high level. So during during when you start doing story mapping, you're just breaking that feature in hierarchical, so you can see dependency of that specific epic, and you can be able to come up with the risks and dependency. Then you can be able to see if is the very high risk feature, it has to go on top priority. So because, and then you can start working on them, so that you can be able to start working on high risk. You need to fail, you fail so fast, and then you can be able to get those feedback, and also reorganize your team and be able to implement some of those epics. So last but not least, we have RISE scoring. It stands for reach, impact, and confidence and effort. So each epic is evaluated based on these factors, and scores is calculated to prioritize them. So RISE scoring help team focus on epic that have potential to reach large audience, um, delivers significant impact, and have high confidence in success, and require relative low effort implementation. So those are some of the highlights we just discussed. And other than just WestJeff, there are some other prioritization method we can use when working on those epics. So this is implementation as we just discussed. We do have to, we just discussed earlier MVP and persevere. So in implementation, so depending with the WestJeff, we'll have to identify a team to start working on this epics, and then there has to be to start working on those epics. And then as we can just look here, the epic owner works with the various stakeholders to split epic into features, capability, the responsive, agile train, solution train, pull the work. So in implementation, this is whereby you have to start involving agile team. So there has to be some level of PI planning, and then the features gonna be the features gonna be moved in the specific team, and those features you can start breaking down in stories. And also with the capabilities, these are the enablers epics, you have to go through solutioning them. Even also the features has to be solutioned. So this is a process that has to be done for those epics to be implemented. And then how, you can just using leading indicators as we just discussed in previous slides, and a value stream KPI. So KPI you can just observe, you can be able to, for example, if you have a cloud solution, you can use some KPI to see the cloud adoption. So how many applications are being used in the cloud, and also you can do some demos. During each specific iteration, you can do the demo with the stakeholders so that you can be able to understand, or you can be able to present to the team. Um, what are you delivering, and then you can be able to maybe ask maybe some of the leadership, are we delivering the correct solution, or maybe are we not, are we ahead on the time or behind the time, so you can be able to understand on what are the risk and dependencies that we can also perceive when you're doing some of those implementation. So we just discussed the MVP. Just MVP is just when you wanna improve your business outcome, and so you can take that feature and implement some MVP. So the next one is persevere. So these are the strategic team, or maybe the leadership, or maybe the cross-functional collaboration. You have identified that epic is the high priority and has to be done. So the team can just break in those epic into features through pre-PI planning, and through PI planning, you can just prioritize those features to be implemented with a different specific agile team. So, Epic, this is we could just discuss here about Epic implementation. So the Epics has moved into portfolio backlog, and this Epics has been broken down into features. So we break down those Epic into features, and it's given to specific agile release train. And so this features in here, maybe we get the features. So when I move to agile team, this Epic has been broken down in features and enabler, and then it's given to a release stream. So the release stream, agile release stream has some different agile team that they'll collaborate to start implementing those features. So Epic features and then implemented by agile team. Same case happened with the capabilities. These are the enabler epics. Enabler epics, they're just broken down in capabilities and then given specific solution team. These are also agile team that are gonna have to deliver these capabilities. So done, as we can discuss, this has to be done by the lean portfolio management. So an epic is considered done when sufficient knowledge or value is achieved, or it's no longer portfolio concern. So completing fully envisioned scope from the lean business case is not a criteria. Instead, epic is done if it's ejected from portfolio Kanban by lean portfolio team. So the team has realized it's not worth spending money, or maybe hypothesis has been proven. If our opinion, it comes, during execution or specific, when you start doing API planning and start doing execution with the agile team, you can deliver the value, and then that if value is delivered, you can say that feature is done, right? At the end of specific, this epic is spanned through a PI. So many PI, it can be 3, 4, 5 PIs. During maybe the fifth PI, that's where you can finish that epics, and then maybe the learn portfolio can say, hey, we are done with that specific feature.